50 minutes into Canada's World Cup match against Qatar in Vancouver, a Canadian coach turned to the ref and said 5 words that tell you everything you need to know about what just went down. His legs hanging off. That's not clickbait hyperbole. That's not some panicked exaggeration in the heat of the moment. That is literally what a seasoned, professional national team coach said in real time, staring at Ismaël Koné's left leg. Canada's head coach, Marsch, later described the sound itself. He said, "You could hear the bones snap right in front of the bench. We could all hear it." Now, on paper, Canada absolutely crushed this game, 6-0. Jonathan David bagged a hat-trick. Schaffelberg opened the scoring, and Nathan Saliba hit a mind-blowing free kick. By any normal standard, this was a massive statement performance. A Canadian team announcing themselves as real-deal contenders, putting themselves on the verge of the knockout stages at their own home World Cup, in front of a rocking crowd at BC Place. But nobody is talking about the 6-0 scoreline this morning. They're talking about Kone. They're talking about the tackle that put him in the hospital. They're talking about the red cards, the raw emotion, and the chaotic post-match brawl. And they're talking about what happened 14 minutes later, when one of Kone's teammates ran to the touchline, grabbed his jersey, and held it up to a stadium that was already on its feet. Let's break down exactly what happened, because this is one of those games where the story isn't about tactics or formations at all. It's about a brutal human moment and how everyone around it reacted. First, you need to understand who Ismaël Koné actually is to realize why this hit Canadian soccer so incredibly hard. Kone is only 23. He came up through CF Montreal, the same club that's produced some of Canada's biggest talents over the last 10 years. He developed so fast it shocked the club's own front office. English clubs were instantly drooling over his potential, but he chose to stay in Montreal to finish his development the right way. Since then, his European journey through Watford, Marseille, and Rennes had some real growing pains. Flashes of brilliance, sure, but not that consistent, locked-in form you need at the international level. But this season in Italy's Serie A with Sassuolo? Something completely clicked. He was chipping goals against AC Milan, racking up assists, and playing the absolute best football of his life, just as the World Cup arrived. He also has a real history with Marsch. Last September, Kone got subbed off during a friendly and lost his mind, visibly frustrated, storming to the bench, shouting at Marsch, and needing to be held back by a backup goalie. A moment like that could ruin a player-coach relationship. Instead, they moved past it instantly. Kone made it clear how much that jersey meant to him. So inside that locker room, everyone knew just how much Kone poured his heart into this team. Which brings us to the match. Canada was already dominating. Up 3-0 at halftime, Qatar already down to 10 men. It was a cruise control victory. Then, Qatar's Asim Modibo came flying in from behind. Kone had already passed the ball. The tackle was late, completely blindside, leaving Kone absolutely no time to brace or protect himself. The reaction on the pitch told you everything before a replay even aired. Modibo instantly put his hands on his head, the universal sign of, "Oh no, I just did something terrible." Players from both teams immediately started frantically waving the medical staff onto the field. Doctors rushed out and put an air cast on Kone's leg right away to stabilize the fracture. While Kone was on the turf, tempers completely boiled over. Total chaos. A massive brawl broke out between both benches, with players and staff clashing while the stretcher was being brought out. Modibo was shown a straight red card, reducing Qatar to just 9 men. We now know Kone suffered a suspected fractured tibia and fibula. Basically, he broke both bones in his lower leg and was rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery. His teammate, Steven Eustaquio, summed up the heartbreak after the game. "We're going to miss him. He has that X factor our team really needs." As they wheeled Kone away on a gurney, the entire stadium stood up, chanting his name. From the gurney, Kone gave the fans a thumbs up, waving as he disappeared down the tunnel. 14 minutes after Kone left the field, Nathan Saliba curled a beautiful free kick into the back of the net. But instead of a normal celebration, Saliba flashed the number 8 with his hands, Kone's number. Then he sprinted to the sideline, grabbed Kone's jersey, and hoisted it high for the crowd. The roar from the stadium was even louder than the goal itself. You can't script that. That happens because teammates genuinely love the guy who just got carried off. But after the final whistle, things got ugly again. A massive altercation went down on the pitch between both benches. Jesse Marsch and Qatar's coach were in a heated screaming match, and players had to be separated. Afterward, Marsch refused to talk about the drama, saying, "I'm not spending 1 second discussing that." What he did talk about was how confused he was by Qatar's bench. Interestingly, Modibo actually walked into the Canadian locker room after his red card to apologize to Kone in person. Kone told his teammates about it, and Marsch explicitly stated he didn't think Modibo meant to hurt him. But while the players showed class, the Qatari bench spent the whole game arguing the red card. Marsch was blunt. He couldn't understand how an entire bench could argue a call when a player's leg was literally broken on a late challenge. What's next for Canada? So, where does Canada go from here? Football-wise, they are right on the edge of the knockout rounds. A 6-0 win puts them in a massive position heading into their final group game against Switzerland. This is the moment Canadian soccer has been building toward for a generation. Alphonso Davies is back from his ACL injury, Jonathan David is in world-class form, and millions of fans are witnessing a home World Cup. And now, they have to do the rest of it without their most dynamic midfielder. Losing Kone right now is a brutal, heartbreaking blow that a 6-0 scoreboard completely hides. Marsch admitted the team was deeply shaken, comparing it to when Tajon Buchanan broke his leg back in 2024. But Marsch also noted that the locker room refocused because they knew that's exactly what Kone would want. Moments like Saliba holding up that jersey are exactly why we love the World Cup. It reminds us that underneath the stats, the points, and the brackets, this is a deeply human game played by people who care about each other. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you make of Modibo going into the locker room to apologize while his coaching staff spent the match arguing the foul? And do you think Canada can actually make a deep run in this tournament without Ismaël Koné in the midfield? Let me know in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind the scorelines all the way to the final, and I'll see you in the next one.